again. Thank you again very much. You were triple plus awesome. No, that was.
As a Browns fan, I can relate.
I'm not a baseball fan, but I saw probably more Cubs games than Sox games, and of course, once I moved to Texas is when they actually won, the Cubs, after 100 years or whatever. So yeah. I stay there. John, my husband, would always be like, they only did it because you left. I'm like, I'm not even a baseball fan, but I'll take it. So, but thank you very much. And I am the minority here because of the New York constituents. But no, I should be reading stuff for round 2 because that's what I said. Because that's what I always do when I go to Poetic License. Poetic License. Poetic License. Back in the day, we had signs, right? Because that's how we rolled. So this has been sitting around since those days, pre-pandemic. But in the beginning of the second round for myself here, I thought I would share with you poetry from the other literary magazine that I am the editor for. I think Lorna was first published in Down in the Dirt, and the most recent issue is titled Mind Pebbles. It is named after some accepted writing within the book, Mind Pebbles, front cover and back cover. Different set of mind pebbles, I suppose, for you. But I am going to pick for you 3 poems in the back of the book here, and I don't want to do that one. I'm looking at these poems that are right here in the back of the book. But these 3 poems, I believe, yes, all 3 of them also happen to appear in the upcoming, by this summer, Cyberwit book, The Universe is in Your Hands. It is stuff about different locations around the world, and so they're covering different things for that. So this first one is actually for, what location is it? Aha, it's for Canada. This one is called Oof, the Perfect Rap. Driving past state lines, passporting country borders, I met you in Ontario. You drove me hours away, closer to Montreal, but out in the middle of nowhere to a cabin your family owned, yet sparsely used. I don't even know what water surrounded that cabin. If it was a pond, if it was a lake or a river, I cannot even recall. But outside this wooded cabin, we ventured to the water, me with my 35mm camera in hand. While walking on the water, I slipped on a wet rock, and down I went, like broken branches cascading down. My only instinct was, save the camera. So up shot my arm, the rest of me twisted below. The injury wasn't that bad, but I was seeking relief when I felt I had a sprained ankle. Every time moving, I'd bemoan and moan, oof, until you said, oof is French for egg. I tried to whine, egg, the next time I was in pain, but it really didn't have the same kick. Driving back, I stopped at McDonald's in London, and after I ordered my meatless Egg McMuffin with cheese, the Oof McMuffin wrapper was the perfect wrap to receive. I still have that old that says Oof McMuffin, little scrap of it kept in my kitchen. But that was the first one, Oof, the perfect wrap, that is in Mind Pebbles, as well as The Universe is in Your Hand, which the printer is still suffering through and trying to figure out. But hopefully we'll get it done. The second one, we're going to have another location. This will have to be for Indianapolis, Indiana. This one is titled Outstretched Hands, Off to the Races. And by the way, I just saw racing going on in Chicago, probably right now, or they were getting ready for it, but this is not Chicago. This is for the Indy 500. I thought it was a smart idea. A bucket list of sorts. But if you're not into cars, especially a bunch of them that all are busy taking left turns on a racetrack, then maybe the Indy 500 isn't for you. And I suppose it's not for me either, but hey, I thought, you've got a ride, you've got tickets, you've got a place to stay, and they say this is the greatest spectacle in racing, so why not? Didn't realize we'd witnessed the hottest Indy 500 in decades. but this year, the green flag signaling the start of the Indy 500 mile race was Jack Nicholson. Yeah, the I'm not gonna hurt you, I just want to bash your head in guy, that guy. Well, after the race was over and everyone could walk across the track to leave, Jack Nicholson was leaving in a golf cart, and all these race car fans, men with outstretched arms, were all trying to get Jack Nicholson to high-five them. But I knew he'd rather high-five a female, so I put out my arm, and Jack Nicholson navigated his arm around a sea of men to high-five me before he left. That's my memory from the Indy 500. It being crazy hot and high-fiving Jack Nicholson. And my husband John will laugh. He's like, oh my God, I saw it. Your hand was behind mine. And I saw him go whoop just to be able to high-five a woman. And I'm like, that's a riot. Anyway, but there's my short little one for Indiana for the Indy 500. And my last one, well, let's pick a different country. This one is for Quito. I might as well get some South America stuff in here. This one is titled Quito and Our Fleeting Farewell. In what little time we had left in this town, just south of the equator, you still nursed your seasickness after drinking too much Pacific Ocean water after journeying on a far too rocky boat for far too long to get here. Though I have a bad track record of trying to climb mountains, we didn't even have the chance to hike the Pinchaca volcano that was almost seemingly glaring at us defiantly from our hotel window. Well, maybe we can try to order some local food. It's always a struggle when you're a vegetarian to find food that you can eat, but nothing was even open, and the only choice on our last night in town was literally a Pizza Hut. I searched for menu toppings for something more exotic. Corn kernels was all we could come up with for a more unique pizza topping, which actually tasted really good. So, looking at the city lights on our last night, I knew I couldn't be able to see Phoenix or any southern hemisphere constellation in the hazy night sky the way we did on our far too rocky boat ride. But thankfully, your seasickness eventually subsided. So, if nothing else, we should remember to add kernels of corn on top of our next homemade pizza. Quito, one short thing for that one, and just a short form for you guys from Down in the Dirt magazine. That was stuff in the end for you guys. I hope you, yeah, and those two poems are right next to each other. Outstretched arms and off to the races in Quito. Thank you very much. Thank you. I should be shutting up and letting you guys read because John F. McMullen is the Zoom host, and he is always first on the list for here at Poetic License. So I hope that you've got material ready. And then after him, it will be Ron. And then I think I'm going to swap places with Lorna and Susan so that Lorna will be able to read before 5 o'clock. So after John will be Ron, and then Lorna, you will get to read. So if you are ready, my Zoom host extraordinaire, I hope you're ready to take it away, my darling.